What's going on, my soul family? Welcome back to another episode of the Awake with Jake show. On today's episode, I'm going to be talking about 6 ways to deepen sexual intimacy. Ooh, I know, sex. You don't hear many people talking about this because there's so much repression and shame around sex. And there has been a huge disconnect from sex and sacred sexuality. So throughout this episode, I'm going to be breaking down the barriers to allow you to deepen intimacy, have more conscious, meaningful sexual engagements, and to come into deeper union with another person, including yourself as well. So before I get into all of this, I want to share with you that my next workshop for masculine and feminine energies is currently selling out very quickly. It is November 14th at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and I will be dropping in to share with you masculine and feminine energy embodiment practices, healing tips, sexual polarity, deepening romance and intimacy within a relationship, and much, much more. This workshop is going to be amazing. If you want to sign up for this before seats sell out, go to jakewoodard.com/workshop to sign up right now and grab your seat today. Let's get into today's episode because I'm really excited about this. The first and most important thing, and the number one tip that I have on this list to deepen sexual intimacy, is to deepen the relationship with yourself. Deepen the relationship with yourself. If you show up in the bedroom, not knowing who you are, still feeling very insecure, uncertain, afraid, you are going to close down energetically, emotionally, and physically because you don't feel safe in your own body because you still don't know who and what you are. The thing is, when you connect to yourself at a soul level, to the soul consciousness within you, beyond just your ego identity, it is much easier to enjoy this human experience because you're not controlled by this human experience. You start to transcend your ego desires, but you must learn who you are at a core level. And this comes with deepening the connection and the relationship with yourself. The relationship that you have with yourself sets the tone for the relationship that you have with everybody else. Because if you don't love and respect and cherish yourself, how is someone else going to do that for you? You won't believe it when it manifests in the physical form. So this is why it is so important to take time to work through any pain, any shame that you have, any abandonment, and to heal and release those things from you. And now I know from someone that has gone through many deep, painful experiences in my life, this stuff takes real work. And I had no idea who I was for a very long time. But discovering who you are and building a conscious relationship with yourself is so fulfilling. Because when you know who you are, other people can't tell you who to be. And you won't be swayed by their ego desires and ego projections. So by deepening the relationship with yourself, you are actually deepening the relationship in the sexual act, in the sexual intimacy. Because if you look at the word intimacy and you break it down, what are you doing? Seeing deeply into another person, into me, going into me. So when you engage sexually with another person, do you like what you see within your own self? Because that being is only going to mirror back to you the stuff within yourself. So if you are still filled with anger, hurt, sadness, shame, guilt, fear, during sex, all of that energy is going to be brought up because sex is extremely vulnerable and raw. Sex is extremely vulnerable and raw. We are opening our body, our vessels, where our soul lives, to another being. That is one of the most powerful exchanges of energy that we will ever experience in this life. So by having a grounded, loving relationship with yourself, you offer that to the person that you are sharing your energy with. sex is a very, very powerful exchange of energy. And this is why it is important that we do it as consciously and loving as possible. Because through sex, great healing can happen. Transcendental experiences, parts of us can open up that we never even knew existed. And this happens when we deepen the relationship with ourselves, because people can only meet us at the depth and consciousness that we have met within our own selves. Number 2, create emotional safety within the relationship. Now, if you truly want to have deep, intimate, romantic, loving, sexual intimacy, then safety is the foundation for all of it. Imagine like you were building a house right now. The first thing that you would do is build a strong foundation to put that house on. Emotional safety in the relationship carries into everything in the relationship. And when people are closing down sexually, it's most of the time because they do not feel safe within themselves. Now, if you already have wounds of abandonment or trust issues and you feel very guarded, then that is going to transfer into the sexual act, into the sexual exchange of energies. And you will continue to close down until you heal those wounds. So as you continue to deepen the relationship with yourself and you create more emotional safety within yourself because you're learning who you are, you're feeling safe in your own body, you're feeling more secure in your own body, you allow yourself to open further. Now, in the relationship, and this works for all relationships, same sex, man, woman, whatever type of relationship you are in that relationship, emotional safety is the foundation for all healing to happen, for all growth to happen, because without it, you will continue to close. You will continue to close if you feel unsafe and you're just going through your unconscious patterns of ego desires and you're in this groove of fight or flight and you're always running from something because you don't trust and you've been hurt in this life. And I know what that feels like. So the question that I have for you is, if you are feeling this in this moment, what are you afraid of? What are you afraid of? What's causing you to feel unsafe? And if you're in a relationship right now that you don't feel safe in, the first step is to having that conversation with your partner saying, listen, I do not feel safe with you. I do not feel trusting of you. Now, I would highly recommend not being in a relationship that is abusive in any way. Because if you are with a person that is abusive and doesn't honor and cherish you, what is the purpose of that relationship? They will cause you more damage to yourself and slow down your healing process if they are constantly repressing you and making you feel small. But the truth is here, we can't victimize ourselves. We realize that we allow people to press us down, to make us feel small. But we reclaim our light and we reclaim our power by speaking our truth to the person that we are with and saying, listen, I do not feel safe with you in this moment. I feel very untrusting of you. I feel like you're just using my body as an object for your own ego desires. And that's really what happens a lot of times sexually between two people that aren't consciously having sex. They're basically just using each other's bodies to masturbate and ejaculate an orgasm. And that creates a lot of disconnect because there's no sacred connection there. So deepening the relationship with yourself, creating emotional safety is the first two. The third one is understanding how each person wants to be loved. Do you know how you want to be loved in a relationship? Do you know? And if you don't know, that's okay, but I would invite you to start to gain clarity around that, how you want to be loved. And when you discover how you want to be loved, physically, intimately, emotionally, all aspects, start speaking and sharing that with your partner. And you take the time to sit down to really know and learn about each other. What turns you on sexually? What turns you on emotionally? What turns you on in all areas of your life? The character and the quality and the integrity of each person. And how do you want that to manifest in your relationship? Because when you speak it to the universe and you speak it to your partner, then you have clarity around it. And you can start to manifest from that point. But if you're just guessing at how each other wants to be loved, you may never get it right. So take the time to actually communicate clearly with your partner. How do you want to be loved? And if you have a partner right now, have this conversation with them. Pause this episode and say, how do you want to be loved? Okay, I want to be loved like this. And speak exactly how it feels. Not judging each other, not shaming each other. Really, truly speak your truth to your partner, how you want to be loved. Don't just hope they guess and get it right. Share with them, I want to be loved this way. And you may not know how you want to be loved right now. And even if you're single listening to this, it is so important for the manifestation process to be very clear on how you want to be loved in a romantic relationship. Number 4, be present and intentional with each other. So now moving through the emotional stuff and into the physical element of things. When you are engaging sexually, if you are not present with your partner and you're thinking about the bills you have to pay, you're thinking about your job or your business, your mind is wandering, your partner is going to sense that. And they're going to feel your energy. And they're most likely going to close down. And I'll give the example of a man and woman because I feel like this happens a lot with men and women. Men tend to drift a lot when they're not grounded. So if you engage with a woman sexually and your mind is just wandering and drifting, that woman who is very, very intuitive, imagine that she has an antenna that is plugged into the universe and can sense every single subtle vibration of your body and everything else. She can feel you become unconscious. She can feel when you're not present with her. She can feel when you're just using her for your own lustful desires, trying to penetrate her to ejaculate. She can feel those things. She can sense those things. So instead of drifting and being flighty like Peter Pan, start to anchor yourself into this present moment to be more safe, to be more grounded, to be more aligned with being a leader, a conscious leader, to being open to consciousness, to being able to create safety and love in that relationship. And here's the thing, a lot of people are lustfully driven, but they have no sexual mastery. So they're driven by lust and they objectify other people just as their animalistic desire systems want. And it's all for the ego. It's all just for the senses of the ego to feel good in that moment, for that temporary high of ejaculation or orgasm. So as you deepen that connection with yourself and you become more present with your partner, you become present with each other, and you spend intentional time together, you still go on dates, you set the mood for intimacy, you speak kindly and softly and nice to each other, to encourage each other, to love each other, to support each other. These things help deepen that intimacy when it happens. Number 5, don't guess what they want. Ask them. And this kind of ties in what I was just saying too, understanding how each other wants to be loved. Stop guessing at how your partner wants to be loved. Just ask them. Ask them in this moment. Stop guessing at how they want to be sexually pleased and just have the conversation around it. And I know that there's a lot of shame around sexuality. And I know that we live in a culture that is very over-sexualized and very overstimulated sexually because of all the things like pornography and all of the images that are exposed throughout social media. Everybody's very sexually driven, but there is a huge undercurrent of shameful sexual energy underneath all of that lust. And a lot of people don't feel safe sexually. So that's why you start to lose that sense of intimacy, because the body is manifesting as the emotional body. The physical body is manifesting as the emotional and spiritual body. It's the outer form of how we feel inside. So if you don't feel safe in your relationship, the bedroom is going to show that. Because once again, that is where we are so raw and vulnerable. So if you have shame around your sexuality and you don't feel worthy of love, you feel closed down, you feel unsafe. Start healing that. Why do you feel unsafe? But it's so important here to stop guessing at what your partner wants. And if your partner feels shame, share that in the relationship, because now you each know how to better navigate that. Okay, will they start to close when I say this because they had this experience happen to them? Maybe they had some type of sexual trauma that they haven't healed within themselves. And you can be more safe to share with them, listen, I'm not going to hurt you. I'm not going to hurt you. I'm here to help you to open your heart back up while continuing to open my own heart up. And that's how you create safety in a relationship, through intentional dialogue, through having deep presence, through grounded connection. Grounded connection. Having the electrical energy moving back and forth, flowing throughout each of your bodies. It is such a beautiful, divine experience. It is so much more than just two animals coming together. It is deeper than that. There is divinity within all of us, and we can bring about that divinity through sexual intimacy. Through sexual intimacy. Now, I was deeply addicted to pornography for a very long time, and I had so much shame around sexuality, and it created a very strong disconnect with my own body and my intimate romantic life, because I was afraid. I feared intimacy. Although I craved intimacy, I was afraid of it. So transcend that. Give up the porn and stop watching that and feeding into your lustful desires. Allow yourself to start to transcend and bring that energy up into your heart, into the higher energy centers within your body. And you will notice that you feel so much more vibrant. You're not just feeding into all your lustful desires every time you get hooked by it. Transcend it. And number 6, which is probably the most important thing, one of the most important things on this list, which is create attraction through sexual polarity between the masculine and feminine energies, the yin and the yang energies within you. So going back to the relationship with yourself, you have both masculine and feminine energies within yourself. If you are a masculine man and you have no connection to your feminine energy, you're not going to be able to connect to a woman with feminine energy. And this is just an example. So creating balance and harmony within your own energies first, between the yin and the yang essence within you. And when you have that, now you can say, okay, I'm more of a masculine person. This is how I choose to show up in the relationship. And you would attract to you more of a feminine person because you're attracting your energetic reciprocal. That is electricity. Think about it like magnets, positive and negatively charged. Think about it like the cells in your body, positive and negatively charged. They have life force in them. They have energy that's flowing through that circuit. It's an electrical circuit. And what happens a lot of times is the energy, the electricity starts to fade because the masculine become the same, or the feminine become the same, and they start repelling each other electrically. So if you're in a relationship right now and you notice yourself being in your masculine a lot and you're dating a masculine person, then you may start to have a sexual disconnect because of the loss of attraction, the loss of sexual polarity. So in that moment, you have to understand who's the more feminine person in the relationship, start leading with that feminine essence, and who's the more masculine person in that relationship, and start leading with that masculine essence. Now, if you don't understand masculine and feminine energies, your relationships and intimacy will likely continue to struggle. And this is why I'm so passionate about creating transformation and change and healing within masculine and feminine energies, because I truly believe that if we have balance between our yin and yang energies, our masculine and feminine energies, everything in our life begins to change. You start to attract more abundance in your life. You start to have deeper, intimate experiences with your partner in your romantic relationship, with your friendships. You just start to understand more about yourself because you know how to balance that energy within yourself. And I'm going to be teaching all of this in depth at my next workshop, November 14th. So if you have not grabbed your seat yet, I highly recommend you do that right now so you don't forget. Go to jakewoodard.com/workshop to sign up today. It's only $37, and this workshop is going to be truly transformative and amazing. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. I hope that it brought you a ton of value. Thank you so much once again for being here. I truly honor you and love you. If this episode brought you value, take a screenshot of it and share it to your Instagram story and tag me. And as always, stay open, stay loving, and stay connected to that beautiful source within you.